Hey everybody, welcome to Away Games, episode number 43. I believe that's Michael Wirtz's old number. I really should just get these down. The Away Games podcast, a Chicago Cubs podcast, usually hosted by two stand-up comics, myself and Adam Mamawala. If you've been following the saga on Instagram or Twitter at Away Games Pod, follow us if you don't. Adam is in the Dominican Republic right now, and he wasn't there for baseball reasons, but now he's hanging out, and he hung out with Randy Rosario, the GOAT, left-handed reliever, and he's going to be on to talk about that. Not this week. This is a one-week teaser. We have a substitute for Adam. We're pinch hitting with another McCaffrey. My brother Joe is joining us from Chicago. What's up, Joe?
Hey, what's up, Kevin? What's up, Away Games Pod followers? I don't know if you have. I listen to the pod. Do you have clever nicknames like the WTF guys do?
I don't think we do. I don't know. I feel like Away Games is a fairly on-brand, we are away from Chicago thing, but it doesn't lend itself to like easy nicknaming, Yeah. What's up? Away from home, you runaways. Yeah.
Yeah, Chicago Nomads.
Chicago Nomads. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, a bunch of expats. Yeah. But so you've listened, but this is your first time on the pod, right?
Yeah, long time listener, first time.
Thank you.
Talker.
Supporting the family.
Yeah.
You're coming to us. Actually, for me, you're coming to us from a very historic location because you were sitting on the couch of your apartment, which is where you, myself, and our other brother Patrick watched the Cubs win it all in 2016.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we went from one bar into another bar, and then there was the rain delay, and then we waited that out, and then we came back to my place, saw that final moment. That was great. We all, rushed together and hugged.
Yeah.
It was a cool brother moment, cool Cubs moment.
Piling on the couch you're sitting on now, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then made the pilgrimage to Wrigley and partied.
Yeah.
That was great.
Excellent stuff. But yes, Adam is in. So Adam is hanging out with Rosario. Did you see any of the photos yet?
I did, and it looked like he was Instagramming out the layout of his house, and I was like, "Wow, that is some access."
It really is.
I was worried, are people going to come and try and get at this guy's house now? Did he get clearance?
Well, apparently, if you try, you will, because Adam didn't even try to. He was just in the Dominican Republic, and I mean, he'll talk about this later, but basically his wife was just they were talking to the guy at the front desk, and he's like, "I'm Randy Rosario's cousin. Do you want to hang out with him?" It's and they just did. So that rules.
A couple of things there.
Yeah.
Wow, what a friendly guy Randy Rosario is, but I would have thought he would have had a fuller social schedule going on where Adam could just jump in.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no knock on Adam, but he quite literally has never met this person before. And yeah, I mean, I think that's just how chill they are in the off season in the Dominican Republic. But yeah, check out Away Games Pod if you want to see the view from Randy's roof.
Yeah, hey, nice digs, nice setup. Rosario's living life. Good for him.
Living big, yeah, hell yeah. Have you ever met a professional athlete? Have you ever bumped into one in your time bouncing around the Chicagoland bars?
And not in the Chicagoland bars. I mean, I dunked in Keith once, but he was busy talking to some lady friends. It seemed like this was, I don't know, years ago during their very initial run. And then just pro wrestlers in New Orleans. Some guys named Flash Morgan Webster and Jimmy Havoc at the oldest bar in America.
Oh, yeah. Lafitte's, right?
Yeah, Lafitte's, the blacksmith shop or whatever.
Hell yeah. Pro wrestlers I was going to say pro wrestlers, I think, tend to be the most accessible of people on that level. Although Randy Rosario, giving him a run for the money, just throwing out invites.
Yeah, these guys didn't have me over to their house. Yeah. Especially not if I was like, hey, I'm a big fan. They're like, oh, great. Come stalk me. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's so that's great. I in terms of Cubs I've met in person, I haven't I never hung out with any, but there was a man named Ozzie Timmons who, do you remember Ozzie Timmons? Joe's younger than me, so.
Yeah, I remember him as a concept.
Yeah, it's the concept of Ozzie Timmons. Yeah, it's a hard legend to live up to.
I think the oldest I go back that is like a guy who sticks out that makes me sound old is like Rick Wilkins.
Oh yeah, sure. But you were 7 years old when he had his weirdo bust out 93. Ozzie Timmons, myself and my best friend Carl, we were leaving a Cubs game and we saw Ozzie. He was just in a car. He was with two young ladies, and
good for him.
Yeah, doing great. And he signed a ball for us, and and I feel like that's really the only Cub that I've like bumped into, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would have loved to have bumped into Mark Grace in the '90s during his heyday, slump busting. All that fun stuff.
Really, he had quite a legend. He had quite a legend. He laid down, quite literally laid down in town, and out of town on away games.
Absolutely.
For like such weirdo, mediocre teams, just running around living the life. But yeah, let's do a little actual Cubs news because there actually was some.
Yes.
Today, got a new team member.
Yeah, we got Descalso. How are you feeling about that?
Daniel Descalso, it's weird. It was interesting to see Cubs Twitter kind of blow up about it. A lot of people were like actively mad about it, which I think is funny because it
has to be more budget related than guy related.
Yeah,
like, we got no money whatsoever, and he didn't get signed to a big deal.
No, his deal is for 2 years, $5 million, basically.
I take it, but in these guys' dollars.
Yes, exactly. 2 years, $5 million. I think is probably that's on the low end, less than what you would have expected him to sign for.
Yeah.
And he's not like he has precisely by weighted by WRC plus he has by OPS plus he has only 1 year of his career that he was above league average.
Oh, wow.
But that was last year. He OBP'd it at 353, slugging at 436, and Brett Taylor, Bleacher Nation, did and Michael Cerami and those guys did a good rundown of basically how he changed the entire way.
Yeah, he's a disciple of the launch angle and fly ball, right?
Right, which is a thing that like everybody talks about, but like he really did. I don't know if you saw the like specific breakdown of that shit. But
I saw it might not have been from those guys, but in how his while his strikeout rate did spike, also did the walk rate. So you take that
big time. Yeah, his walk rate was real high, and his hard hit percentage went up. His percentage of barrels, which is that seems like a nebulous thing to rate, but I guess they know what they're talking about. Like when you really get the ball square, went way up. And his pull percentage went up, and fly ball percentage went up, I think, by like 7 or 8 percentage points, which is gigantic. So it's so it's clear he has a new approach.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, that's cool. It's I am hopeful that it's more of this is functioning as a replacement for Tommy La Stella than anything more than that,
I mean, it can't be really anything more than that. Even, great on this guy, and the fact that he did change his approach, that makes his stats less fluky.
Right.
Like it's actually different, and you can expect him to be better than he has been throughout the rest of his earlier career. But he's not a guy who's going to be starting. You would never hope. So
no,
I mean, on the off days, right?
Right, exactly. A guy who can spell someone sometimes. But yeah, you're right. It looks on paper, it looks like a really fluky 1 year improvement, but as you say, the way that you see the approach changed, it seems like it should be more repeatable.
Yes,
but he also is on the other side of 30 now too. So it's you're not. I was going to say banking. It's not much of a bank. $5 million for 2 years is not. That's totally fine for this. One thing
contingent upon plate appearances too.
Oh yeah. I saw some details in there with some little escalators for a couple $100,000 or something. Yeah. But one thing is I'm hopeful. I don't want to see Addison Russell back. How do you?
Oh God, me not at all.
Right.
I feel strongly about that.
Exactly. Yeah. So what I do want to see out of this offseason, one of the things is I would like to see a genuine major league shortstop. If because I don't want to lose Javi, and then you have Descalso and Bodie, or I guess playing short because. I feel like people have, man, you and I, when we come back in a next life, we should be not that good at baseball, but not that good at 7 positions. I think.
Oh, yeah. And those are my favorite guys. Jose Hernandez was one of my favorite Cubs growing up.
Oh, one of the OGs. One of the OGs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I would bet Jose had a pretty strong exit velocity. I bet in StatCast days.
Oh, yeah. He'd probably be more appreciated now.
I think so, yeah.
When you throw all that stuff in there.
Yeah, a lot of pop, strong arm, played a bunch of positions. But I think, like, Descalso was kind of being sold as a possible, shortstop backup. He's not that. He's played shortstop in 1 game since 2016.
Right, no.
So that's, yeah.
And that's why you would have liked to see. I did like hearing the Cubs were interested in Tulowitzki.
I do
However,
too.
It seems like the Giants had a heavy presence there. They had Bochy showed up for it, and like one of their front office. So
off-season Bochy, I feel like when the manager's old, he's got 3 World Series rings, and his team's gonna suck, and he shows up in the off-season. That's
an indicator.
Yeah,
right?
It is. It's kissing the ring.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so a guy like Tulo, right, who has now indicated that he would be willing potentially to move off shortstop, which is new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which I guess is, that's cool. I guess it says, it can't be a bad thing. But yeah, if the Cubs were going to be interested in Tulo, I would mainly be interested in him as specifically a shortstop backup for Javi. Or play short and Javi gets to play second when on days where Tulo starts or something.
And then an idea that you have talked about quite a bit for the rest of the infield is that Happ used to play second base. He was drafted. He was playing second base. See more of that and see where that goes. Like Chase Utley,
Yeah, exactly. I would like to see Happ give him more time at second because he was surprisingly good, I thought, at shortstop. Or not shortstop, excuse me, at third base in the little time we saw him there last year. Also, the Cubs were willing to stick Daniel Murphy's corpse out there at second base defensively. So you can't tell me Happ's worse than that. He's not worse than that. And I know that shouldn't be the bar, but
Yeah, Daniel Murphy, who has got the knees of our stepfather.
Yeah. Yeah, if you know Wally, you know those aren't good knees.
Sorry. Yeah, it's well inside there, guys.
Yeah, right. Could be hardly more inside. Yeah. But yeah, so Descalso is the new addition, and I think people are getting mad. I don't think because people specifically hate Daniel Descalso, this guy who just is trying really hard and by all accounts seems to be like a good clubhouse guy. And, he also pitched 3 1/3 innings,
Yeah, there you
go. So I don't think it's mad about him. I think people are mad about is this what the offseason's going to be? Mm-hmm. Which how are you feeling about the Cubs' approach to this offseason? I'll let you go first before I say anything. But
so if they aren't posturing and positioning themselves, here's the only way I'm okay with what they've been doing is if they know because they deal with Boris,
right?
They're like, well, we're not going to come right out and say yeah, we're going to get Bryce. Or how the White Sox have been very open about coming after Harper. If they're only doing that because they're we don't want to pay the max price on him, we're going to try and get him to drop his willingness price. Then I'm okay with it. Anything other than that, this whole charade that they'd run out of money. If somebody who's living in Chicago right now, they're pouring tons of money into real estate around here and just making things look pretty. The idea that because of 3 years here of having a really heavy top of the league salary would just destroy them and put them into poverty. If that is in any way true, then you shouldn't have bought the Cubs.
Right.
You can't afford it then. So
yeah, and I think the main reason I'm not getting too fired up yet is because I just simply don't believe that this is it, that it's going to be, and I believe the reporting that people have done. I believe that's what they've been told. But I also believe that that Theo has been, somewhat I don't know if up front, but I think he and Boris seem to be on pretty good terms, and I think at the very least, when Bryce is making his final decision, I think the Cubs are going to hear about it before it's done. And I have no inside information to say that, but I just don't believe they're not going to get one final chance to say, okay, here's our real final offer on it. But if that's not the case, if we're not making a $5 million 2-year signing for Descalso, because that's a good way to shore up, or possibly, if they know they can tie someone like Ian Happ to a deal to get Chatwood out of here and clear some salary, where you'd have to give up some value with that, but you would clear some salary, and then Descalso basically is your Happ for the next couple years. That would make sense to me as far as going for the bigger move. But if this is just, if this is the move, then sure, I'll be mad.
Yeah, that of course. It's like you look at the Cubs, I believe, are $40 million below the Giants last year in salary cap or something like that.
The Giants were definitely above them. Right. I didn't see that. Yeah,
and so like you could add Bryce Harper at $35 million,
right?
Whatever, and you're still I don't accept. And if they don't get Harper, then you gotta have some other sort of big splash, and like getting a Kimbrel or something like that, and
Right.
And Descalso does fit this hole that they believe they have. He's 32 years old.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't had heard some bad stuff about him. Maybe he's a good clubhouse guy, which they seem to think was missing.
Mm-hmm.
But one more narrative I heard was some ESPN writer saying that they wanted to let this core group have one more chance to do it by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't buy into that because they already did. You already got a World Series ring with just you guys.
Yeah.
That's enough. And Bryce Harper's like 26 years old. He could go down as becoming be known for being a Cub.
Yeah, well, I mean, Wilson Contreras, I think, is 26, or he's 25, 26, basically. And we think of Wilson as a guy who's still he's gonna bust out. Well, Bryce done busted out. So it's you're having a person of you'd be talking about getting a person of that age. Also, this I guess sort of neatly ties in with what the other. Not really like news, but something that came out today was Gordon Wittenmeyer, who people just love being mad at, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I get it. Like he can be somewhat annoying. He just, loves talking about salary and stuff, and how people aren't worth their salary, or alluding to stuff like that. So I get it, but it's also stuff like this where he went on, he was on the Score Morning Show, and he said that Kris Bryant is leaving the Cubs when his contract is up, which, by the way, is in 2021.
Yeah, it's wild.
So that's a long time from now. And I heard that, and I was like, well, my pitch to a Bryce Harper at this point would be you give him a relatively long-term deal, but the main thing is I'd front load that thing and give him a chance, give him an opt-out after 3, because the next 3 years are the 3 years I'm mainly concerned about right now.
Right.
With this window. So I would be fine if the Cubs signed Bryce for 3 years and then he was gone, which is the amount of time we're talking about Kris Bryant being gone in. And it'd be like signing Kris Bryant for 3 years, which I'm also cool with, which we don't have to do because he's on the team.
Absolutely. No, you front load that thing, you give him an opt out, and if he and Bryce go and leave he and Kris go and leave for the Las Vegas A's at that point in time.
Yeah, exactly.
Whatever has happened. We're talking about 2021. Then, whatever. And hopefully we got another World Series by then. But nobody in the fan base, the consensus is not going to be like, this was a bad deal. Whatever money they throw at Harper, whatever it takes to get him.
Right.
People want it so bad, at least here in Chicago from the people I talk to, that they're never going to be like, oh, well, that was a stupid deal. It's like, no, we all want it, so it'd be on us.
Yeah.
We're the ones pressuring you guys.
Right. And sure, a lot of most fan bases aren't quite that reasonable, but and most of the Cubs fan base also, it wouldn't be that reasonable, but
right.
But it's the 3 years are right now. 3 years is a lot of years, and so I just thought it's silly to get in a tizzy about Kris Bryant being sure he's leaving in 3 years when so much can happen between now and then, obviously. But and one of the things that can happen between now and then, did you see the TV deal stuff?
Yeah, is that the rest of the Chicago sports teams are staying together in some bundle and re-signing with NBC and Comcast Sportsnet, and the Cubs are not, right?
Right. So basically, it's Sox, Bulls, and Hawks are all are partnering with NBC Chicago on a regional network, and the Cubs are going to have their own network as we've known about, as we've heard about for literally years at this point, with a different broadcast partner. Whoever that is. I mean, knowing the Ricketts, that's a straight up Fox partnership.
Oh my gosh, yeah. The Cubs will be playing on Fox News and just be miserable. I'm driving up like their advertiser money and stuff, just having moral. I'll find a way to like illegally stream it online.
Yeah. Exactly. The Cubs have partnered with InfoWars, and Alex Jones is doing pregame.
Jones, Bill O'Reilly on the pregame.
Yeah, exactly. So we don't know who the Cubs are thinking about partnering with or whatever. But I guess it's a little bit of news that all the non-Bears teams and non-Chicago Fire, I suppose.
Right, exactly.
Teams are moving forward with NBC. So,
and if that is true, and they're getting a Yes Network type of thing, one more reason to go nuts with the spending.
Yeah, which is, and I guess the landscape of TV channels and how they're done and how things are moving to digital, and there's a lot of, I guess, question marks about how the business of that's going to work. So that makes it harder for at least people like us who aren't in these negotiations to pin down what kind of value that actually is going to be.
Right.
But, you get their whatever, get your own WWE network, basically,
exactly.
Which I also don't know if that makes money, but, but it's, I feel like with that, at least I'm glad it's like, okay, let's move towards a little bit of clarity there. Some, just getting closer to figuring it out. Is nice. Did you have any other KB or Descalso thoughts before moving on?
KB or Descalso? No, not really. I mean, if Kris Bryant leaves, I wouldn't even, if it's for some like huge offer and whatever,
right,
and it doesn't make sense at that point in time, I would not be somebody who would begrudge him. I'd be like, hey, man, thanks for giving us all those years and a World Series ring,
Right. Yeah.
So far away. There's no point in stressing yourself out over that right now.
100%. No point.
You got to enjoy this Cubs. This is so rare. I would have this 95 win season that people are so upset about. I would have, killed for it as kids. So
I remember us being very excited in, what was it, like 1995. So Joe was, Joe was not quite 10 years old at this time when this was happening, and I was 3 years older than that. And the Cubs were just mathematically alive for the wild card going into the last week. And I remember going into the last week, seeing on SportsCenter just the Cubs being included on the screen of being alive and being like, man, what a great time to be alive.
I remember this. I remember being on vacation and seeing the Cubs hadn't been mathematically eliminated yet one time and be like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And now the Cubs won 95 games and everyone's like, that shit's fake. Which, I get it. It's a frustrating ending. But
I relate. I'm just saying, this is a once in a lifetime time frame. So enjoy it.
Yes, exactly. And and we're as far away as KB's a free agent, we're halfway to that. It's it's a lot left there. In other free agent news, short time but fun time Cub Terrence Gore.
Oh, where's he going?
He signed with the Kansas City Royals, who also signed Billy Hamilton. So they now have the fastest team in the history of friggin' human beings.
Watch them win the World Series.
That's like, in a
like they know something.
Yeah, right. They just never stop. They just bunt the ball and run forever, which honestly isn't too different from how they did it in 2015, I guess.
Yeah.
Where they just like, everyone on our team makes contact. That's our thing. That's, we're zagging on you. But yeah, so thanks for the memories, Terrence Gore. Much like Jesse Chavez, that's a guy where it's like, well, we can give up a low-level reliever for you in July if need be, I guess.
Yeah.
Which I'd be all about. He's a lot of fun.
Loved watching him slide.
Oh, great! Yeah, great slide. I mean, the hardest foot first slide in the game. I feel like he really beat that bag up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he works.
Make a great ninja.
Yeah, Terrence Gore, great ninja. I heard I heard Terrence Gore. He was interviewed on the Fangraphs Effectively Wild podcast, and he hates running.
What?
Yeah, he only likes running
to stay in shape.
Yeah, he doesn't like running. He's like, I like sprinting like 90 feet, but that's after that I don't like it. Great.
He's just a genetic freak then.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be great if Terrence Gore's just like he's just never can't hit a triple. He's just super slow after 90 feet. But
right.
It's like a Mario Kart character, like someone who accelerates really quickly, but then is super slow after that. It's the opposite of Bowser. Yeah. So that happened. Any bench coach thoughts? You see Brandon Hyde left for the Orioles.
Yes. Well, okay. So in my dream scenario the past couple of years, I thought that David Ross would have been like more excited and willing, but he seems to be like really cool with being a consultant or analyst and then ESPN guy, which I don't blame him. He gets way more time with his family that way. But it is kind of, that's who I wanted ultimately. But Raul Ibanez, hearing his name, I was very cool with. He won like whatever award for like the nicest guy in baseball like, a couple of times, didn't he? So
yeah. I know he won like a poll. I'm going to do a quick Google search on that because he definitely won a poll for like nicest guy in the game. And he's just, I mean, he's a guy who stayed effective as a hitter late into his career. He had like some real late bloomer years. I feel like he made the All-Star team.
With the Phillies at the end, I think he had some
good years. Phillies, Mariners, Royals. Yeah. But I totally agree. Yeah, we had not talked about that yet. But that of the names I saw floating around, I thought his was the one that interested me the most.
Yeah.
I think the one thing that could work against him is that with the indecisiveness around Joe Madden right now, it's the weird thing where would guys who are actual like manager prospects, would they want to go into that? Would Madden want them there right now, or is that like too much pressure, kind of like I'm hiring my successors here now?
Yes.
Or would they rather, I mean, like, because Brandon Hyde was a guy who had been with the team for a long time, but no one was thinking Brandon Hyde's going to push out. No one thought like Madden would be fired for Brandon
a threat
Hyde.
Almost.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if that would work against a guy like Ibanez, and maybe why a guy like Ross didn't take it, because Ross might be thinking, well, if I'm going to go to the dugout, I'm going straight in as a manager, Aaron Boone style.
Okay. Right, yeah.
Yeah. But there are a lot of Raul Ibanez pops up in MLB.com story. Raul Ibanez retrieves fans' fallen sunglasses, is a nice guy. Headline.
Okay, that's not exactly the award I was thinking.
but I know for.
I think it was opposing players.
Yeah,
their favorite guy from the other team.
Exactly, and I like a bilingual guy in there too. I think that's helpful. I think that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Mm. See, there we go from Joe, who is engaged to a Ruiz.
Yes.
Yeah. When he was bench coaching for the other, able to talk to the whole team.
Exactly. My kids will be bilingual bench coaches.
Yeah. Oh, hell yeah. That sounds great. Cool. I think that's most of the just general baseball news. This came out, I saw this on Twitter literally just before we started podcasting, where the Cuba and MLB reach an agreement by 2019, and Cuban baseball players will be able to sign with MLB from the island without having to emigrate. So that's new.
That's cool.
Don't know any details beyond that at this time, but that like just dropped. So that would be great if Cuba could actually be treated, if guys didn't have to sneak out of the country and sneak away when they're on road trips.
Yeah. So would they enter the draft at this point, or just be international free agents?
It seems, just from the quick skim I did, it seems like it's more of an international free agent system, or like a Japan posting thing.
Oh,
which would be really weird, because Japan has a genuine league with teams that you're posting with. Cuba's just like Team Cuba's the league. Like they have a league, but it's not a functional major league in the same way that Japan is. So posting would be weird. Also, because you'd be posting like that money would be going straight to the government. I feel like, like you're just giving it to Castro's. Right. You're just going straight to Team Cuba.
Paying Cuban taxes.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I'm not sure, but that is it seems like, I don't know, even if it's not perfect, it seems like that's a move in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree.
Any other like current eventy baseball news in general, or Cub news that you saw?
Current eventy Cub news, not so much.
Oh,
I saw that across town, Machado was meeting with White Sox, and that the reason somebody said, like, how come he didn't go meet with the Cubs? And a reporter said something like, because it wouldn't have covered the cab fare. The offer, like, of what they would be willing to give him.
Machado said that?
No, some reporter.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Who seemed like they thought they knew, whether they knew or not.
Okay. Well, Joe, you and I just joked about who the Cubs were going to partner with for their network stuff.
Oh, gosh.
Fox. So we said Fox and we said InfoWars as a joke. Apparently, the report is they're partnering with Sinclair, which is exactly that bad, if not worse than Fox. It's a super conservative media group that has bought up a bunch of local news stations and are actively propaganda. They have forced
propaganda.
They have forced news reporters. You can read about it a lot of different places. They've forced news reporters to read things that, like, basically to pass off things as news and news commentary that comes straight from the company. And some have refused to do it. And they also just recently fired someone who was on leave for cancer treatment. Fuck Sinclair. Fuck Sinclair real hard. But this man, what a weirdly big news day for this is like more stuff dropping than usual, but this came up just as Joe and I are recording this on Tuesday night. So, yeah. I mean, fucking sign Bryce Harper with that money, you pieces of shit.
Have some good come from this.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, that's
right. I really wish this ownership group made it easier to root for them. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. There's almost it's weird because Mark Cuban, if you hung out with Mark Cuban, you'd probably pretty quickly be like, I mean, he's kind of a douche, but he's the best owner, like, I don't know, by miles that I can think of. Because, billionaires just aren't, I don't think, fun people as a rule.
Yeah, typically not.
Yeah. How much money do you think your richest friend has?
I'm sorry. Can I even say?
Yeah, you can say fuck. Yeah. I think we might be the one Cubs podcast that's rated R. I don't know that for a fact, but yeah.
I mean, some of my friends from it. What's weird is we come from a really well-off neighborhood.
You and I, yeah.
Yeah. But most of my friends are, rich in comparison to the rest of the world.
Sure.
But not necessarily to the Hinsdale guys.
Right. Yeah, Joe and I, we went to Hinsdale Central High School, but, like, we also were, like...
In terms of old money. You know what I mean? Like Ricketts money or something.
Right. Yeah. But we were literally the poorest family, or one of the poorest families I knew. Yeah. I don't think a lot of Hinsdale families didn't have the full on number of beds for each person at any point in high school.
Yeah, I didn't have a room I could close a door on until I was 20 years old.
Oh yeah, you're counting college roommate style. So you didn't have a non-roommate
bunk bed till I was forever, and we're sharing air space, right? Yeah,
right. Just weird for you to not sleep at altitude, really.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I know. I have one good friend from high school who did my record deal, and he works with Amazon pretty high up. So that was with the music biz. So that might be my answer.
He'd be a good fit.
he's a good driver, and he actually is a good human being, but not a billionaire. Man, yeah. All right. Well, it's just too bad because there's no it's not. I'm not trying to be a cop out, but I don't know of an ownership group that isn't bad.
Right. I mean, let me think about that.
I haven't fully studied any I haven't done a deep dive on this, but I'm not copping out on the Cubs because it seems like the Cubs ownership group is actively bad. Definitely. It's not like they're the bad guys in a league full of
Yeah, I can think of a lot of good people in sports, like Chris Long playing for free, having all his money go to charity.
Sure,
seems like Steve Kerr and Popovich are like woke dudes, but they're not ownership; they're coaches.
Yeah, ownership's a different deal. So, but it's a bummer. It's a bummer to have to deal with as because I think this is a thing we've talked about, and this is like a larger baseball thing where you what's that?
Yeah, I said, burn it down.
Yeah, get the guillotine. I think there's one category of fandom that's just like, whatever, just buy the best, just have the best players and hope your team wins. But you and I think both liking your team.
Well, because I consider sports to be a form of entertainment, because otherwise these guys would just be exercising, essentially with their buddies or some recreational thing. It's because we pay to see them, pay to wear their jerseys, pay to have whatever Cubs network might be coming out,
right,
and all this stuff. That's where the money comes from, is the entertainment. So if I am bummed out while I'm watching my entertainment, it's not the best peak form of entertainment. Right. So I have to, the more I can enjoy it, the better.
Right.
And if I'm morally conflicted,
that's not an enjoyable.
That's not ideal.
Yeah, not trying to breaking bad my baseball team. That's that's not fun. Ooh, what a morally dubious. How exciting. That's
baseball's like supposed to be like comfort food and don't, stress yourself out too much. And
people do, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
But it should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Sinclair. Jesus Christ. That's pretty bad. That's one of the worst developments for me. Personally.
You're spiraling down.
I'm having a tough time with this because it's like I'm just talking shit with sports fans. People are going to be like, "Oh yeah, you Sinclair motherfuckers." And I'll be like, "Yep." I don't know, it's bad. It's part of...
Take it on the chin.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So having Addison Russell and signing Daniel Murphy, that's an aberration. Now we're just a right-wing propaganda run. Christ.
Yeah, not ideal.
Anthony Rizzo's still good.
Yeah, he's great, yeah.
Fucking Major League it. My favorite movie is Major League. That's all about ownership being separated from the team on the field. Right. You're not rooting for ownership. You're rooting for the team on the field. All right, I'm back.
Get one of those things with Joe Ricketts, and just be stripping it off every time the Cubs get a win.
Yeah, just to peel it away every fat
or
bump
make him
on
start naked, and you can keep putting clothes on and cover him up.
Yeah, keep it until you have a full bag over his head and toss him in the sea. Yeah. Yeah.
Toss him in the Chicago River.
Hell yeah.
Montrose Beach or something.
Yeah, watch the fish throw him back.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what off season? What do you have any other big? I mean, we basically covered what you're looking for in the off season, but since this is your first episode on,
sure.
Is there? Yeah. What are you looking forward to this off season?
This off season, if I could, fantasy book it, it would be. I want Bryce Harper.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. And if I got that, I wouldn't ask for anything else.
Right. But it's the Christmas thing. As we're the week before Christmas. I just want a Super Nintendo.
That's all I want, Santa. But if other than that, I mean, relief pitching.
It would be nice to have one more piece.
Yeah, shore that up.
Yeah.
And then in the broadcast booth, radio or TV, I've long been an advocate for getting Mark Grace back there. And that, for me, would be a huge free agent signing. I understand why he is. And some people might be like, what, you're condemning Addison Russell and this guy's got 3 DUIs?
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever.
Right.
But he's, what I've read, and I'm completely biased because he's my favorite player.
He's your favorite Cub of all time, right? Or he was growing up, at least, right?
He's one of them, yeah. I mean, at this point, with the new guys like Anthony Rizzo, I love, and Javi Baez and stuff like that. It's maybe not, but
it's a different category. You're like your first favorite player.
Yes, and that was him.
Yeah,
that was Mark.
You were a Grace guy. I was a Sosa guy.
Yeah, I liked him so much that I would listen to the Diamondbacks coverage on MLB TV when he was their announcer, and he was just a real fun guy. I remember Jonathan Broxton would come out to pitch. He'd be like, "This is the largest man on earth," and would just not be like, got a lot of color in his color commentary.
Yeah.
He'd be doing shots of the crowd, and he'd be like, look at these people having a fun little mixer over here.
Yeah.
And you could see where he got into some trouble. But
yeah, he knows about fun mixers.
You set him up. You set him up in a housing situation where he's right next to Rick. He can walk there. And
right.
Keep an eye on him. I'm rooting for him, and I'm all about, second chances. And I guess I say that after I'm saying the Edison Russell stuff, which,
it is different. I'm not saying it's not like good. Like DUIing is bad. Yeah. But
totally agree.
Yeah.
But
God, it's a hard stance we take here. DUIing, that's bad. Yes. But it is different. Like it is from like a character standpoint, I think.
Yeah,
but
so I'd love to bring Mark Grace back to the family. Also, so that would be a huge free agent signing for me.
And I want to bring Sosa back to the family. I'm an
I do too. I'm on board with that.
Unapologetic SJW, Sosa Justice Warrior, as we've talked about.
Justice Warrior.
Yep. Yeah, as we're seeing the Hall of Fame votes, people are doing all these. You see a lot of people just being like, oh, no on Sosa, but at this point, yes on Bonds and stuff. And yeah, Bonds is, arguably the greatest or top 5, top 3 player of all time. But you cannot say that we're letting steroid guys in and Sosa's not there. People talk about it like, oh, but Sosa wasn't Hall of Fame level before the steroids. You can't prove that. We don't know that. And look at the stats. Overall, people David Ortiz has a more like official performance-enhancing connection than Sosa does. And obviously we know Sosa did stuff. But look at the numbers, Ortiz versus Sosa.
Mm-hmm.
And you can.
And Manny Ramirez got busted a couple of times.
Oh, yeah. He's
look at that, and I feel like weirdly you hear more criticism towards Sosa. And maybe that's just me as a Cubs fan feeling it more when it happens.
No, but I think
don't feel like people talk about Manny and steroids as much, and he's been legitimately caught multiple times. Yes.
Anyway, I get, but getting Grace in a booth.
Have him run out to right field, holding up a flag, do the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm in. I'm all in.
Announce Mark Grace at Cubs convention.
Yeah.
There you go.
But getting Grace back, I'd be into that. He's a good storyteller, and that's kind of what I want out of a color guy. Is like a fun, and I think we're so lucky with Jim DeShays with the.
Oh yeah, I mean that's not me knocking anybody.
Oh, I know.
Here. It's just one of my guys who I really like.
Yeah, you just want him in the mix. They have. He could be the Descalso of the booth. He could.
Especially like Glenn Casper. He's great on everything. He's good on Twitter too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like Casper on Twitter's vibe. Is basically it's like he always just took a hit off a joint and is like casually starting trouble, kind of. It's just like he just did a couple riffs on his electric guitar, took a hit, took one puff, and was like, "What if the draft was backwards?" I think today it's like, yeah, get out there, and then then people troll back at him and whatever, and I think Casper's great, and then I'm a big Pat Hughes guy. He needs to go into the Hall of Fame ASAP.
Yeah, definitely Pat Hughes for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mark DeRosa's in TV. If you could ever get him locked down, I'd be cool with it too.
DeRosa's a guy where it's like I feel like he has a really great rep, and I kind of can't figure out where it comes from. He seems fine to me. Like I don't know him much. I guess maybe I don't see a ton of him or like know a bunch of him like personally.
Right.
But people, I mean, I guess like players seem to like him and stuff.
Yeah. I think that probably is mostly it.
Right.
You just don't hear any bad news, and he's
right.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. Cool. All right. I'm going through the list here. I think that basically that gets us to where we need to be. Yeah, man. Thanks for jumping on the podcast, pinch hitting today.
Oh, of course, it was a pleasure.
Anywhere, anything to plug? Anywhere people can find you online or check you out?
I mean, yeah, sure. If you guys are into pro wrestling and Cubs baseball, I'm on Twitter at Seth McCaffrey. That's my regular human Twitter.
SEPH.
SEPH.
Like the end of Joseph. Yes, yeah, Seth McCaffrey.
Right. Like Topher Grace situation. And then also for the wrestling, it's at Good versus Bad Guys.
Good vs. bad guys. Yeah, I feel like that's where most of yours and my Twitter relationship exists, is basically like me sending stuff to good versus bad guys.
Yeah, that makes sense. That checks out.
Sweet. Well, please follow the podcast at awaygamespod on Instagram and Twitter. Let us know, like I said, if you want to see Adam's photos of Randy Rosario's roof, that's great. Awaygamespodcast at gmail.com. Hit us up. Let us know your thoughts on all of this shit, going down. And by shit going down, I mean literally everything that happened today. Some of which I kind of like, and a lot of which I don't, I guess. But I still think I'm saying this offseason is going to be exciting.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. And if I or Kevin disappear, it's because Joe Ricketts sent people out for us.
Joe Ricketts and the Sinclair goons came after us. I know, it's like, it'd be funny if I survived, talking shit about our cousin Mike Pence on my album. Download the album. Check it out. It's nice and drunk. You can find it anywhere. But yeah, we talk shit about I talk shit about the vice president, and it's fine. And then, fuck Sinclair. And then, Kevin's gone now. Thanks for doing it, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
All right, go Cubs.